The market at an all-time high. S&P 500, all-time high during Friday. And yes, finally, since 2022, we're able to say we have just conquered all-time high. We're going to summarize the markets. We're going to summarize the activity, the highlights, the news, everything and anything that happened this week. And we're going to try to condense it to maybe 20 minutes. Are you ready for it? Let's go. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, welcome. I'm Micha Stocks, and on this channel we talk about stocks. We don't give financial advice because nothing here is financial advice. It's only education and entertainment purposes, but we do try to understand what went on during the week in the market. And if you're a repeating viewer or returning viewer, thank you for your loyalty. Let's dive in to our channel. Let's see what is going on in it. So we are now 2.5K subscribers, 57 videos, where every week there's a video posted that summarizes the week in the market. And by that, let's directly dive in. NASDAQ up this week, another almost 3%, 2.9%. S&P up 1.25%. And as I mentioned earlier, all-time high. Dow Jones up 40 percentage point and Russell 0.58. When we look at the major indices, we can see that communication and technology are leading. Technology by 4.4%, communication 1.8%, and on the flip side, we have utilities and energy, which are big laggards this week. Crypto market, with the launch of the new Bitcoin ETF, didn't have a good week. Bitcoin down 3.8%, Ethereum down 5.3%. It seems like the classic buy the rumor, sell the news. Everyone sold the news. Others panicked, but when you look behind the scenes on the inflows to the new ETFs, you can see constant inflows to these ETFs, and it's going to be very, very interesting how we created a new whale in a system that shouldn't have any whales in it. When we look at the Magnificent Seven, which are still Magnificent Seven, NVIDIA up another 8.5%, Meta up 3.7%, Microsoft, Apple, Google, almost all of them the same gain. Amazon, kind of hunch, but only Tesla. Tesla down 6.6%. Heat map actually looks 2023-ish. Technology green, energy red, rest are all over the place. And by that, we can just dive in to the headlines, so the major headlines of this week. And we will start with the headline that came out Friday after the close. Microsoft reporting a cybersecurity alert saying Russian groups hacked executive emails. What information did they get? What information were they exposed to? Is there still a cybersecurity threat on Microsoft? No one knows, but they reported it to anyone that they needed to report to. This is Mark Zuckerberg, CEO and founder of Facebook, that says that they are progressing in their AI efforts with 350,000 NVIDIA H100s, which by the end of 2024 are going to be 600,000. Those are the amount of cards and chips that NVIDIA is selling. It's crazy, the amounts. And by that, you can understand why NVIDIA keeps going up, because they just keep selling crazy amount of GPUs. That's Meta and, of course, NVIDIA. Apple had a bumpy week this week. They started by the fact that they couldn't sell the new watches anymore, the blood oxygen. We talked about it a week ago, but they just eliminated that feature, and then they came back selling it. They also launched the Apple Vision Pro. This is me getting mine ordered, and I'm going to get it February 2nd. So the next weekly summary, maybe I'll do it with a Vision Pro. Who knows? Stay tuned. Turn notifications on. And after me, a lot of people probably ordered as well. And now shipping is delayed to March. So at least I'm getting mine February 2nd. Spirit Airlines will want to forget this week. Their stock got hammered around 50% after the merger with JetBlue was blocked by a judge. But on Friday, they saw a bit of love from investors. The stock went up 20% because there was an exclusive by Carl Quintanilla saying that Spirit Airlines is seeking to convince JetBlue, maybe, to appeal to a different judge and try to overturn that merger decision or the decision to block the merger. China keeps doing what they do when the stock goes down. Instead of stopping their behavior, they're stopping the traders behaving, saying you can't short Chinese stocks anymore. At least the Chinese brokerage, they're telling to do that. We can do whatever we want, but we do see the Chinese stocks very, very weak. And this week was a very bad week for Hot 8. Hot 8, for anyone that doesn't know, company that mines Bitcoin through the blockchain. They're a Canadian originated company, and they rang the bell during the week. Something that should be an amazing event, should be excitement. It's something that every company wants to do. The same day, J Capital comes out with a short report against them saying, guess what? You guys are not as you pretend to be, and we are shorting your stock. The stock the same day went down 25%, the day after went another 10%. So a party became a sour party. And if we're talking about a sour party, iRobot, their shares tanked during the week around 50% after the EU, the European Union, decided to block their Amazon acquisition. Apparently, all the regulators now feel like they don't want any big companies anymore. They want to start blocking everything around. The fact that during 2024, I don't know if you guys know, something around 50% of the countries or 50% of the population in the world is going to vote. Will that change everything? We won't know, but we will know by the end of 2024. So iRobot shares tanked. Nelson Peltz keeps going after Disney, going after Bob Iger, saying they're not doing enough. They're not doing what they should. He's in a proxy fight to go into Disney's board and try to do a lot of radical changes there. It seems like Disney stock has kind of overcome that already because it is starting to turn a bit on a positive side, but still very, very weak. When we look at the drug makers like Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly, they're using the fact that everyone wants the GLP-1, the shots for weight loss control, and they're raising their prices. Macy's is cutting 13% of their corporate staff, around 3.5% overall jobs, 2,350, and they're also closing 5 locations. DraftKings is getting a buy rating, and the stock went up very dramatic this week, according to the buy rating came from UBS, but they're citing substantial market share over ESPN Bet with Penn Gaming. Google is terminating hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs, and Sundar Pichai tells Google staff that it's just the beginning. They're going to see more and more headcount cuts during the year. And Sylvia Jablonski from Defiance ETFs launches a new ETF close to my heart, an ETF called Chai. Yes, if you're an American, it's probably difficult to say Chai with a Ch because, it's something in the throat. You can say Chai or Che or anything else. But basically, it says Chai is living, and they're going to invest in Israeli government and corporate bonds. Will it succeed? We'll probably see if they're doing that ETF. Probably they believe there's an upside opportunity. And this is China's Premier Li that says that the Chinese economy grew only by 5.2%. This is the lowest growth rate in over a decade. And of course, this doesn't help the Chinese stocks or the Chinese market. Tesla slashes car prices, which doesn't help Tesla stock, as you saw, down 6.6% in China, in Europe. And of course, this comes again to the same question. Do they have a demand problem, or is there a price war between them and other car companies? Currently, all the impact that Tesla and other car companies see with Tesla slashing car prices is that everyone's stock goes down, because if Tesla, which is profitable, is cutting prices and basically cutting their margins, other companies, which are not profitable, are going to lose even more and going to need to raise more money. A lot of mess there. And Uber actually tries to convince more and more of their drivers to drive in Tesla. They're even giving an incentive of $2,000 for someone to drive a Tesla. Why? Because I think the experience is better in a Tesla. Apple, during 2023, overcomes Samsung by being the best-selling smartphone in the world. Very interesting. And Samsung, during the week, launched their new AI-powered phone. Would that be the new wave of technology, AI phones? We'll see. FDA-approved gene editing therapy, Vertex and CRISPR, treat more illnesses. I think this is the second or third approval from the FDA. This is huge for CRISPR because their technology is being used by Vertex and probably will be used by other companies as well. This relates to the ability to not only find the defective gene, but also to replace it and to cure people. That would be amazing, right? And Chiefs Dolphins from last week, the wildcard game on Peacock, had 23 million viewers streaming on Peacock, a world record for a sport event. Why is it interesting? Because, first of all, we're still in the NFL playoffs. While I'm recording this, there's a game running in the background, and I'm looking at it in a side eye while I'm talking to you guys. But also, Netflix is going into sports streaming with a very publicized tennis event in Las Vegas next month. We have Apple with the soccer, US soccer, and of course, we'll probably get Amazon as well. Actually, Amazon is streaming during the regular season in the NFL. So these giants, part of the Magnificent Seven, are now expanding into the TV, into the broadcasting, into the production. And basically, they're a lot more than just one company under one name. They have become these conglomerates of several businesses which are totally different from one another, something that we haven't seen before. And if regulators might maybe even actually miss the opportunity, but if regulators will not split them up, these are going to be companies that I don't think the financial world has ever encountered that are crossing so many businesses. Think of Amazon being a supermarket, competing with Walmart, with Whole Foods, Prime competing with every e-commerce, Prime TV competing with regular broadcast, and of course creating shows, so competing with Comcast and Netflix, and think of AWS, a cloud competing with Google. Think of even Tesla with their solar competing with solar companies, with their cars competing with car companies, with their charging stations competing with gas stations on charging. Think of Apple with their devices, with their services, TV. So these are now become, no, not even talking about Google, these have become these huge conglomerates that are so big that comparing them to IBM in the past, or Cisco in the past, or Xerox or Kodak, not even close. And that's why today they're 30% of the S&P 500. Now, is it dangerous? It's a very good question, but it's more of a philosophical question, because it is what it is. And that's why they keep going up, because you can't bet against them. Let's continue. And continue where to? Microsoft, which is now adding Copilot to Office 365 for businesses. So basically now when you want AI with your Office, you have Copilot. Copilot is another $20 per month. If another $20 per month for Copilot, that's more revenue for Microsoft. This is AI, generative AI inside Copilot. And you can understand why these companies are growing more and more. Disney, ESPN, Disney's actually calling ESPN to maybe have them own a bit of, putting a bit of stake in the NFL owning a bit of stake in ESPN in order to take some of the assets off of Disney. And by that, we end this week's news. Next week is going to be a lot of fun. It starts with the most anticipated earnings releases. With United, Logitech, Verizon, 3M, Netflix, Raytown, Lockheed Martin, Tuesday. Wednesday, we'll have AT&T, ASML, Abbott, Progressive. But of course, we will also have Tesla, IBM, ServiceNow, Lam Research, and Las Vegas Sands. This brings us to Thursday with American Airlines, Nextera, Alaska, Southwest, Humana. And after the close, we'll have Intel, Visa, KLAC, and more. And Friday, we're getting American Express, Booz, Colgate, and Odolive. Friday, we will also get Jan 26. We will also get the PCE, the Fed's preferred inflation metric. That's going to happen on Friday. And that brings us to the S&P 500. As usual, we end always with a chart. And now when we look at the chart of the S&P 500, a quick reminder, we are now at all-time high. Let me change this to a line so everyone will see what I'm seeing. All-time high means that we're at the highest price that the S&P was ever at. Now, what does it mean? Basically, it means that we're at an all-time high, but not more than that. Why does that mean? Why am I saying that? Because basically, look at this. Every day during 2021, we were in an all-time high. Every day. If you go back to 2018 or 2019, every day was almost an all-time high. If you go back to 2017, all-time high, all-time high, all-time high. Why am I mentioning that? Because when you're afraid of all-time highs, it doesn't mean anything. Because an index that goes up all the time, most of the time is an all-time highs. What are we going to do now? Well, looking at the charts with a more objective way shows that we have just, let's call it, penetrated or broke through 47.90, okay, or 479 in the SPY. We are very stretched from our moving average, and there might be a correction. If I'll pull back the channel that I have here, the channel is the way the price of the stock goes up and down. You can see that they're moving in a channel, upward, of course, but a channel. Once we'll go to the upper limit of the channel, we might get a correction. That correction might bring us all the way down to 4,400. This might be, or could be, a very dramatic correction of around 10%. Why am I mentioning that? We will, of course, follow this. But if you feel like the market has run away from you and you missed the opportunity, and again, this is not financial advice, it's the way I'm looking at things, there are always corrections. Look at the time we touched it here at 45.90. We corrected all the way back to 4,100. Then we went up almost all the way to 47.60. We corrected a bit, and now we're heading to the next stop, which is around 4,800. Would we get there? Probably next week. But then I would expect a correction, and maybe the correction will come before that. That's what I had to tell you this week. I hope you enjoyed the weekly summary. Let's see if 17 minutes and 50 seconds. Thank you very much for joining. Smash that like button. We will be here next week. Same time, same place. Micha Stocks saying bye-bye.